encounters during rainy nights. The first story is Pizza Panic. Discover the chilling events that unfolded during a late-night delivery.
During my later years in high school, I was a pizza delivery driver. I always worked the night shift on Friday and Saturday because of school. It was a pretty relaxed job, mostly just driving or standing in the shop taking orders. I had a couple of friends who worked there too, so I always had someone to talk to. Anyways, it was Friday night and I just got back from my last break. Since the place closes at 1 a.m., we usually stop accepting orders around 12 because we have to clean and do everything else before we leave. As it was 11:30, I decided to get a head start on the cleaning. Me and my other two friends were the only ones there that night, one finishing up a delivery and the other going on break after I got back. In the middle of cleaning, the phone started ringing, so I picked it up and asked how I could help. An older man was on the line, asking if we were still accepting deliveries. Yeah, but we don't take big orders. They said no problem and asked for a regular pizza. About 15 minutes later, the pizza was ready and I packed it up and drove away. It was a little over 10 minutes to the address, and I was probably halfway there when I pulled up behind another car, stopping at a stop sign. Having waited for a few seconds and looked around to see what was going on, I honked my horn, assuming he had just fallen asleep. Still, the car didn't move, so I started to pull around him, but then he jolted forward down the road. I was a little annoyed, but I figured it was just some dick having fun, so I kept driving. A couple minutes later, I passed the same car with its headlights off. Something just didn't feel right passing them. To make sure he wasn't following me, I checked my mirrors on the way to the house. Long driveway in the middle of a forest of trees. I pulled up to the house and put the car in park. After I made sure I had everything, I knocked on the door. After a minute or two, an old lady answered and asked what I was doing. I told her I was delivering pizza and gave her the address. The woman said nobody ordered a pizza and I could tell she felt bad for me. I just thanked her and went back to my car. This wasn't uncommon either, as some people would do this as a prank. My plan was to leave the driveway and call my friend to get the number back and confirm the address. As I left the driveway, bright headlights blinded my view. The light was so bright I knew it was a car coming my way, so I slammed on the brakes. I waited for it to turn off the lights or turn around, but after waiting a bit, I figured they wouldn't move. There was no way I could get around them because I could barely see. I decided to just wait and see what they would do, since I didn't have any other options. After a minute of just sitting there, they turned their lights completely off. I waited for my eyes to adjust to the darkness, then looked to see where their car was, but I couldn't see it. Once I got the car in drive, I slowly started making my way down, being cautious in case the other car started coming down the driveway again. A few seconds later, I see the car parked in the middle of the path with all its lights off. My eyes fell on it because I knew it was the same one at the stop sign. I guess he followed me without me noticing. Because I couldn't see through the windows, I started getting pretty anxious and worried that there were people in there with bad intentions. Then, the driver's door opened and a guy stepped out. Halfway to my car, he stopped and began waving at me as if he wanted me to stop next to him. At this point, I was really starting to freak out. When I pulled up to him, he didn't even look at me as he started walking around my car and stopped right behind me by the trunk of my car. To my surprise, he didn't say anything to me. As I was looking in my rearview mirror, trying to figure out what he was doing and why he was just standing there, I suddenly came to a realization and turned around. It was only a matter of time before the other 3 doors opened and 3 more men started sprinting towards my car. My adrenaline started pumping and I stomped on the gas, almost hitting one of them. Almost hitting several trees, I swerved around their car and got back onto the path. As there was nobody else on the road at this time, I could clearly see the car pull onto the road and start making its way towards me in my mirror. My first thought was that they wouldn't stop unless I could get to a place that wasn't so isolated. But after 30 seconds, the men turned down a side road. I got back to work and told my friends. Despite being unable to give much helpful information, they pushed me to call the police. An officer came over and I gave an official statement. The next day, I got called that 3 of the guys had been arrested for trying to rob another car in the driveway where I was that night. After having 2 more people try and deliver food to the woman that she didn't order, the lady called the police and they caught them. Since it was a narrow, isolated driveway surrounded by forest, I guess they lured delivery drivers in and robbed them. It's not clear if the 4th man got out of the forest, but he ran through the trees and made it out, and I don't know if he ever got found. Even so, she said she had never seen them before that night. After that, I changed my shifts to only working weekends during the day. It's really a shame he didn't get caught, because I don't know how many more people could be in those awful situations if he didn't get caught.
Can't get enough of these spine-chilling tales. Continue your journey with the haunting house of horrors and experience a delivery driver's near-death encounter.
The beginning of fall was approaching, and I had a cashier's job at a small store near my apartment. After my usual shift ended at 9 p.m., I'd usually go do food deliveries for a couple of hours before going home. My favorite time of day to do deliveries was at night, because the roads weren't crowded and most other delivery drivers were out during the day taking orders. So I actually had more orders to do at night. I got out of work and set up my app to do some deliveries. The first order came in quickly and took about 15 minutes. Then I waited a few minutes before another order came in. There was a good payout, and the delivery address was 20 minutes from where I was. After checking out the fast food restaurant, I headed over to the house. The town I live in isn't too big and has lots of empty land. Besides the main center, where I live, there are tons of restaurants. About 10 minutes out, there's farmland and houses are much smaller. Almost all of my deliveries come in the town area, but I get a delivery from the farm area every once in a while too. Because it's 20 minutes away, I thought it'd be a farmhouse. However, the app says it's a small neighborhood off of a highway. I didn't like delivering to isolated farmhouses at night, as it kind of creeped me out, so I was glad to be delivering to a neighborhood house. As soon as I got off the highway, I turned left and started driving down the road toward the neighborhood. But almost immediately, I got called from an unknown number. I declined it since I thought it was a scam, but just a few seconds later they called again. I assumed it was the customer and accepted it. "Hello?" I asked. After a few seconds, I just hung up. A few minutes later, the same number called. When I answered, a guy immediately spoke to me and told me I turned the wrong way. As I have the map up and it says I'm headed in the right direction, I asked him what he meant, but he said he always has the call and lets the drivers know where to go. After saying okay, I asked him how to get there. He told me to take a right off the highway, then make a right at the next intersection. He said it was a gravel path that led to his farmhouse. After telling him I'd be there in just a few minutes, I turned the car around. I'd had multiple customers call me before to tell me the address was off or give me directions on unnamed roads, as it's pretty common out here, so I didn't really pay it much attention. After passing the highway, I turned left, then took the third left and found the gravel path. There was a small forest of trees on the path, and it was really dark. I didn't like these areas at night, so I was a little nervous about driving down the gravel road. My mind started wandering after I got nervous, wondering why the map had taken me so far in the opposite direction of the house he claims to live at. Trying to pretend that I wasn't overthinking it, I assured myself I was just nervous. After a couple minutes, I still couldn't see anything. I wasn't sure if I had turned down the right path, but the trees were too close, so I couldn't turn around. After another minute or two, I finally reached the end where the road merged into a small circle driveway next to a house. A for sale sign was put up in front of the house, so I parked my car there. When I saw that, I wasn't sure if I had the right house, but I glanced over at the front door and it was open and I could see someone wave from behind. I grabbed the bag and headed over to the door. As I stepped onto the porch, I saw the man again down the hallway. He politely asked me if I could set down the food on the kitchen counter, quickly walked away, then switched on the kitchen sink. Hesitantly, I got up and walked into the house. When I stepped inside, I noticed it was decorated with old furniture and accessories, but looked completely unused. I quickly made my way down the hall and into the kitchen, but the sink was still running, but no one was around. It made me feel sick, and I quickly set my bag down on the counter and got out of there as quickly as I could. I heard the man yell something from the front door, but I couldn't understand him. My car was in drive and I kept driving. I didn't stop until I got to my apartment parking lot, when I pulled my phone out and saw multiple missed calls from that number. As I blocked the number, I opened the delivery app so I could end my deliveries for the night. I then noticed that I had messages from the customer on the app telling me that I had turned the wrong way and I was at the wrong house. My shock overtook me for a moment as I realized that I was in someone else's house and the man I had called wasn't my actual customer. I called the police immediately. Soon after, an officer came to my apartment to get more details. I couldn't figure out how this man could know that I was doing a delivery and could see my location. Apparently, my phone was hacked and someone was probably watching everything I was doing. It was really unpleasant hearing that. The next day, I found out that the house I was in was actually vacant, since the owners had moved out months ago. It looks like he got in through an unlocked window in one of the rooms. So far, they haven't found anything that could lead to the man's location, which makes me feel really scared. It's hard to tell what the man was trying to do, but I think it's pretty safe to say he was kidnapping me. Despite trying not to think about it too much, I always think about all the terrible things that could have happened.
Eager for more sinister stories? Don't miss out on the terrifying turn and uncover the shocking truth behind these terrifying delivery driver experiences.
I was driving for Uber Eats and DoorDash on Sunday nights to earn extra money. My friends taught me how to use both at the same time. Delivery services come with a lot of downtime where you sit around waiting for orders to pop up. But if you work both apps at the same time, you get rid of that downtime and you're always making money. So I was doing this for a few hours, racing between houses and restaurants when I got a small order from a nearby restaurant, but the house was far away. Driving far and getting less are the worst kinds of orders, although this one offered a lot, so that means the tip must be crazy big. When I picked up the order, I began the 25-minute drive to the customer's address. Halfway through the drive, while on a side road, I got a call from the app. Assuming it was the customer, I answered. He confirmed that he was my customer and apologized profusely, saying he forgot to change the address when he ordered from his friend's account. I was told his house was just around the block, and he told me what to do once I got to it. In case I got lost, I asked him for the address, but he said I'd see him outside waiting for him, then hung up. However, I was more than halfway there at this point, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt, since it seemed like an improbable thing to forget to switch the address from your friends. I think I convinced myself to go through with the delivery because I was a bigger guy and I wasn't scared of anything. Once I got to the supposed friend's house, I took the turns the man had said and drove down a dimly lit neighborhood street until I saw the road ended just a few houses away. Once I was sure I took the turns, I pulled over and grabbed my phone to call the customer. As I was scrolling through my recent calls, a knock at my driver window scared me. I rolled down the window to greet him, embarrassed by how startled I looked, but he had a totally blank face when I looked up. While I let go of the window button and pressed the lock button, he yelled something while sticking a gun through half the window right at my head. As I heard more voices call back, I saw a group of people running up to the car and trying to open it with their hands. They were yelling commands at each other in the heat of the moment, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. Honestly, I don't even remember thinking during this moment. I was shocked, staring into this guy's gun. When the guy holding the gun looked away for a split second, I suddenly slammed the gas and floored it down the street. The guy was able to pull his hand out of the window just in time, so I'm surprised he held onto his gun at all. After reaching the end of the road, I quickly did a 3-point turn, and when I faced the other end of the street again, they were all gone. Not a single one was on the sidewalk or on the road. It looks like they fled the scene as soon as I started driving. I called 911 as soon as I got out of the neighborhood. These gang attacks are pretty common around here. Even though no one was found and all the evidence pointed nowhere, I see this as a wake-up call. I realized I had a gun pointed at my head. Being big, confident didn't mean anything. Taking that risk was stupid because anyone with a gun could take your life away in an instant. It's dangerous to put yourself in a risky situation with a stranger, so be cautious if you work a job like this or do anything that involves a lot of strangers.
Thanks for watching these spine-chilling stories. If you dare to hear more terrifying tales, don't forget to subscribe to Terrifying Tales TV.